What if I told you that the Hormuz crisis, the world's most dangerous oil choke point, was solved long before the first shot of this war was fired? China spent an estimated $20 to $30 billion securing naval routes, building strategic ports, and creating alternative pipelines, all to make the strait almost irrelevant. While the world panicked over missiles, mines, and oil tankers, Beijing quietly rewrote the rules of global energy security. The Strait of Hormuz isn't just another shipping lane, it's a pressure point. 20% of the world's oil squeezed through a strip of water barely 33 kilometers wide, and sitting right on top of it is Iran. For decades, this has been the unspoken nightmare of global energy. One conflict, one miscalculation, and suddenly the world's oil supply is at the mercy of mines, missiles, and fast attack boats. The United States knows it. Its Navy has spent years preparing to keep this route open. But China saw something deeper, not just a risk, a trap, because nearly half of China's imported oil flows through this exact corridor, which means in a real crisis, Beijing wouldn't just face higher prices, it could face a complete energy choke. So instead of waiting for the crisis, China started moving early, quietly signing long-term oil deals with Iran, investing in ports far from Western control, building pipelines that don't touch Hormuz at all. Not headlines, not sudden moves, but a slow, calculated shift happening in the background. And now that tensions are rising and Iran is once again at the center of the storm, the real question isn't whether Hormuz can be blocked. It's this: what exactly did China build while everyone else was watching the strait? While the world focuses on warships in the strait, China is doing something very different. It's still buying oil from Iran, even under sanctions, even under pressure. Because years ago, Beijing and Tehran moved beyond simple trade into strategy, long-term oil agreements, discounted crude flowing quietly east. And in return, China brings something Iran needs just as much: economic lifelines, infrastructure, investment, a way to survive isolation. This isn't just trade, it's alignment, and it changes everything. Because if Iran ever tightens its grip on Hormuz, it doesn't necessarily mean China gets cut off. In fact, it creates a strange reality where some ships are delayed, some routes are threatened, but others keep moving, protected, prioritized. Understandings that never make headlines. And then there's the second layer. China isn't just relying on Iran to keep oil flowing. It's reducing the need for the strait altogether. Pipelines stretching across Central Asia, oil flowing in from Russia, routes that can't be blocked by a navy. So while the West prepares to defend a choke point, China is quietly stepping around it. But there's still one problem, because if Hormuz truly erupts into a full military zone, deals and pipelines won't be enough. And that's where China's most aggressive move begins. If diplomacy fails and the strait turns into a battlefield, then everything comes down to one thing: power at sea. For years, China was seen as a coastal navy, focused on its own waters, defensive. Not anymore. Today, the Chinese Navy operates far beyond its shores. Destroyers in the Arabian Sea, submarines moving silently across key routes, and a permanent presence near the Middle East. Not for war, but for access. Because in a real Hormuz crisis, China doesn't just sit back and wait, it escorts. Oil tankers moving under watch, convoys protected across dangerous waters, a system designed to reduce risk, not eliminate it. And then there's the base network. From the Horn of Africa to ports in Pakistan, China has been building positions that extends its reach step by step. Each one small on its own, but together, they form a chain, a path that connects energy to mainland China, even under pressure. Still, this isn't the same as control, because in these waters, one navy still dominates: the United States. Which means any Chinese move here isn't just about oil, it's a signal, a test of how far Beijing is willing to go to secure its lifeline. And if that line is ever crossed, the Hormuz crisis stops being about trade and starts becoming something much bigger. By the time tensions reached the strait, China wasn't reacting, it was ready. Years of quiet moves, pipelines, ports, naval reach, and strategic deals, all built for this exact moment. And at the center of it all is Iran, not just as a supplier of oil, but as a geopolitical lever. Because every time pressure rises in Hormuz, Iran gains influence. And China? It doesn't try to remove that pressure, it adapts to it, buying oil others won't touch, trading through systems that bypass traditional controls, even pushing deals that slowly shift energy trade away from the dollar and closer to its own currency. This is bigger than a single strait. It's about control over the flow of energy and who gets to decide the rules. The United States still dominates the waters, still protects the choke point. But China is building a world where that choke point matters less and less. A world where oil doesn't have to pass through a single vulnerable corridor, and where influence isn't decided by fleets alone. So the next time you hear about tensions in the Strait of Hormuz, remember this: the real game may have already been played, and the outcome, it won't just decide who controls a narrow strip of water. It could reshape the entire global energy system.